Hi, everyone. This is Todd Probasco with the Palos Area Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for joining us. We have a very special guest this month. We have Mayor of Palos Park, Nicole Milovich Walters. Nicole, how are you?
I am well, Todd. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you today. It's going to
Yeah,
be a lot of fun.
yes, we've known each other a while, and I'm excited about this. This is kind of cool. So, one of my very own local people is now a mayor of a town. I think it's kind of cool. So,
Well, and we're fellow Eagles,
we
having gone to
are.
Sandburg,
We are. Go Eagles.
lifelong Palos people.
We
So,
are. Yep. I love it. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I've kind of watched you go, and it's exciting that we're sitting here doing an interview, and you're the mayor of Palos Park. I think it's amazing. So,
well, you know what? It's been great getting to really know you over the last couple of years, better than in high school. And having your support has meant a lot to me. So thank
yeah,
you.
well, thanks. And I think you've done a fabulous job, and Palos Park's lucky to have you. So,
You're kind. Thank you.
right. All right. Well, let's get into our little interview. We're just going to
All right.
talk freely, and hope everybody enjoys this because it's kind of cool to do a one-on-one. And everybody, you'll see the comments below. If you have any comments or questions for me or the mayor, please feel free to type them in and we'll try to respond to you. Nicole is amazing at communication and follow through, so I thought I'd throw that out there also. But let's just get into it. You've been around local politics for a while. I know you were on the village board. If you want to tell us a little bit about that, your history, and then why you decided to run for mayor.
Oh, it'd be my pleasure. So I grew up in Palos and went away to college and moved to the city for a little bit. And when we decided to find our forever home, we came back to Palos Park. And right away, I ended up joining a group called the Palos Orland Conservation Committee to do good things about conserving our environment and keeping green. And at that committee, I met Morella Mahoney. And at that time, her husband was police commissioner and then running for mayor soon thereafter. And so when that happened, well, actually, back up, before he became mayor, I then was appointed to the Recreation Advisory Board. And I thought it was such a good fit because I had a 10-year-old at the time and then decided I was having another baby. So I thought being involved with rec was a great way to really have the pulse of what was going on in the community for my children. So I spent 4 years on that board. And when John Mahoney ran for mayor, one of the people that ran for commissioner never took office. So he had an empty spot. And I was talking with my husband about how I loved being involved in the community and how much fun I was having with rec board and how I wanted to do more. And he just looked at me and said, well, didn't you say there was an opening? Like, maybe you should just talk to John and see if this is something you'd be able to do. And I looked at him, I'm like, well, yeah, but am I qualified? That was the big thing. I didn't know if I was qualified. Now, I had my undergrad degree from University of Wisconsin-Madison. I had my law license. I went to John Marshall Law School. I owned my own business at that time, but still thought I had to have some sort of political background.
Right.
And yeah, and so I met with John at Plush Horse, and he really just wanted to know what my vision for Palos Park was, and was I passionate about Palos Park? Because his feeling, as well as mine, is if you're going to get involved in your town or your community, it's all about doing what's best for the community as a whole and trying to make sure that your vision and what you want for your community gels with the majority of the people. And so I got lucky when he said, I'd love to appoint you as commissioner. And so he did. And I spent 2 years appointed, and then I had to run for office. And then every 4 years after that, I kept running for office as commissioner.
How many terms did you serve on the village board?
16 years, 4 terms.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So 4 years of rec board, then 16 years as commissioner. And during that time, I mean, so much changed. And and so many things happened. I mean, we started with the chili cook-off that morphed into Autumn in the Park, and that was during my time as rec board and commissioner. But we added the parade component. During that time, I actually brought, you will remember, not all your listeners maybe, but you will remember the actor Ed Begley Jr. from like St. Elsewhere and stuff. And he's an Emmy Award winner, so we hope we remember him. He was really big into conservation. And I invited him. I had no idea what I was doing. I almost didn't get him because I reached out to the publicist and the agent, not knowing you're only supposed to reach out to one of them. But he came out here to be Grand Marshal of our parade of our little town. And Mayor Mahoney did like a 30-mile bike ride with him. I got a bike loaned to us from Richard Schwinn in Palos Heights.
Nice.
And
where I got my first bike.
Ride. I think we all did. So he did a bike ride through our trails. We went to Lake Catherine in Palos Heights and had a breakfast there where we invited people to come. Broilberry catered it. And he talked about all the low-hanging fruit and things you can do to keep the earth green without too much effort. And then he grand marshaled the parade, and we did a dinner with him. Most genuine, authentic, really, really nice guy. And the funniest part of it all to me was I went to oh gosh, who makes the electric cars? Not the Tesla, before Tesla. It was like somebody had a car that was electric. I don't know. Prius. That's it. Little tiny Prius. So I went to the dealership in Orland and asked them if they would lend me the car to let our chief of police drive it to the airport to pick up Ed Begley Jr. Now, I know I'm taking a big risk not bringing in a limousine, right? Right. But this guy is all about electric and riding his bike to Papa's Toast. I'm like, so I show up and we pick him up in the.
He's full nature.
Yeah, totally. And he gets in and he goes, oh my gosh, he started laughing. He goes, oh, that's so great that you picked me up in a Prius, because had there been paparazzi, they would be surely taking pictures of me getting in a limousine and then tell me I was a hypocrite.
Right, exactly.
So to me, that was one of the really fun times that allowed me to see that I could take an idea and with a team of people support could make something like that happen in our town of less than 5,000 people. Like, it was very exciting. And
then you had a vision that someday you could be mayor.
I hadn't thought that far ahead at that point.
Well, I guess back to that one question. Why did you run then? I mean, I know John had kind of come to the end of his run. He spent many years giving time to the village. But the bottom line is, why did you decide to run for mayor?
Well, a few years before running, I really started throwing myself into going with John to Springfield all the time and attending different meetings with multiple mayors in the surrounding communities, really getting involved with everything that was going on in the village. And I love what I'm doing. I mean, this is volunteer work, really. It's not paying the bills.
No.
So, you don't do this if you don't love it. I love the culture that's been created here at the village. Our staff and everyone gets along and we work well together. And everyone is always working for the best for Palos Park. And this community has been based on, the love of nature and outdoor recreation. And I really want to keep enhancing that, keep doing what I can to make sure that it stays that way. While at the same time, adding a little bit of economic development where we can, where it doesn't impact our day-to-day, but does help our bottom line, so that we're planning for the fiscal future of the village. And so I thought, well, if John's ready to step down, then maybe this was my time to step up. And I was blessed enough to have the people elect me and give me this opportunity.
That's awesome. Two things, because I didn't want to interrupt you. You talked about passion. We saw the passion of the people of Palos Park a couple of years ago. During that whole year, especially around the election, for a small, what we all know growing up in Palos, has always been a quiet little Palos Park town. There's a lot of strong passion and, pride in Palos Park. And you also highlighted on the nature part. Whenever we travel around Chicagoland, those of us who grew up there, if we go to the north or west or far out, they have no idea what Palos is. They think South Side, and they just think they have no idea the quality of life, the beauty of the area. And, I'm a mortgage banker. The real estate alone in Palos Park is absolutely amazing. Everybody, if you haven't, I suggest you get in a car and take a little tour around Palos Park. There's a lot of hidden roads with some amazing homes, which I know you know about. There's a lot of cool things about Palos Park, and the fact that you're the mayor, it's kind of cool. So, but for those listening that might not have known, when did you take office again? Is it coming up on 2 years?
May of 23. So it's been just a little over a year now that I've been mayor.
Yeah. Okay. And I know it hasn't been that long, and it's a lot getting, as president of the chamber, it took me almost a whole year to get my feet on the ground. Have you done any changes since you've been in office? Did you have any vision or changes you've implemented?
I did. I will say that the advantage to having served on the board is that the transition is much, much easier than coming in with not having that experience.
Right.
So the transition into being mayor was relatively easy because I was very, very familiar with everything. But yes, I did have a bunch of things that we did in the past year that I'm very proud of.
What are some of those?
So one of the things is I established the Newcomer Welcoming Committee, which was created to strategize and engage and integrate new residents into our community. And we did that by getting all the local businesses to give us stuff like swag from their businesses and menus and things like that. And we put them in these gift bags. And when people move into town, we reach out to them, invite them to an event, and they can pick up their swag bag. We also our committee created a whole booklet of information that new people moving to town might want to know about. Where are the grocery stores? What are your schools in the area? Yeah. What are the phone numbers to these different things? They created this whole booklet for the new residents. And then they've morphed into helping out with all of our special events too. And now we have t-shirts and swag for Palos Park that you can buy. So that was cool. Really fun. Yeah. And like during that, we also made sure we pushed through social media and other venues to make people aware of openings we had on different boards. And I filled every position on all our boards, from planning commission to tree body, all of them, so that residents can be engaged and involved. There are places that they can't get involved. So we did that. And then I started doing, I created what is it called? The Village of Palos Park Office of the Mayor Facebook page. That way, who's up a mayor has their Facebook page through Palos Park.
I've
so
seen
we do that.
Cool.
Well, thank you. I try.
Yeah.
But we try to put out a weekly message just to kind of let you know what we've been up to or what's coming up, because sometimes it's easier than reading the e-news that we send out, and you can just have a quick listen, hear what's going on, and maybe that's another way to remember the stuff that's coming up. We started also like business spotlights, where we go and we video the business, talk to the owners, and then share them on social media to just try to drive more business to our businesses in town. We did Celebrate Residents, where I asked people to let me know something cool or different or exciting that maybe somebody did, whether they, went skydiving or created or graduated college, whatever it is. We want to share that with the community, because after the divisiveness of the election that we went through, I felt it was imperative to bring community together.
Right.
And I tried to do that from all different angles to really bring everyone together. And I even created a subcommittee of the beautification committee to select 3 flowers that the residents could vote on. And we had a big vote and elected the purple cone flower as the official Village of Palos Park flower. And then we
Love
had
it.
artists we had artists from a courthouse do paintings of the cone flower. And then there was judging, and the winner was printed on t-shirts that we sold. So just really trying to give opportunities in so many different ways, but also staying true to what Palos Park is, which is, this beautiful nestled community outside of Chicago, but you feel like you're in the country when you're here. And
Right. Exactly.
I feel like it's important to enhance, plan those things. So we even have like a bee keepers committee club that started in town. I established the Rita Wegley Beautification Board because Rita was one of the founding members of the beautification committee, and she's since passed. But it's a way of honoring residents that beautify their property in such a way that we feel they should be recognized. So we did that. And those are just, I can keep going with some other stuff that's not quite as exciting, maybe. We became part of the Move with the Mayor campaign, which is a national campaign to get people out of their seats, out from in front of the computer and outside and moving. So we've been doing that. We increased the amount of programming we have at recreation, the park, playground. Our pickleball and tennis courts were revamped. So that was very exciting. That's been getting a lot of play now.
Excellent.
Pickleball is like all the rage.
I heard about that.
We also brought a group called Waste Not into town. It's a composting company, and it's an opt-in service. I think it costs like $10 a month, and they come twice a month and pick up your compostable material. And then at the end of the season, they bring you back the dirt that the compost created. We are finishing up our 3rd year of a $3 million road revitalization program. So that was pretty exciting. And that's just to name a few. We've been very busy. In Springfield,
Yeah. You got a lot going on, even though it's a small town, but the list is like probably never ending on things you got to get done. And you want to try to stay ahead of it. On that note,
well, those were just things that were my ideas. Those weren't the required things. Those were extras.
Right. Come on. Right. I think, when you look at the town, where it's a smaller, but it's a really nice town. Like I said before, the real estate's amazing. The aesthetics, the landscaping, the trees, it's amazing what's there. And on that note, you look at Palos Park today, and you're not going to see a lot of change. It's going to kind of stay consistent, but you want to make sure that you preserve that quality that has always been there. I guess as mayor, because people are always going to have ideas to do something, right? And some are going to agree and some are not going to agree. I'm going to be pro-business all the time, but we also want to protect the beauty. Where do you see the village today and tomorrow, whether it be you as mayor or not as mayor? I know that people there are pretty passionate about, make sure we keep the trees and all this. That's kind of a hot spot there. So where do you see the village today and tomorrow?
Well, I hope, and my goal is, as long as I'm here, to continue making sure we preserve the way Palos Park looks and feels today, where trees are very important to us. We've been Tree City USA recognized for 30 years. Continuing that, constantly planting and reforesting throughout our town, which is important to keep the look and feel of what we have. On that note, with on the flip side, you do have to have a little bit of economic development in order to keep funding all the necessary services, especially when the state tends to take more of our money than give it to us. But that has already been planned out so far in advance for our western growth area. So when we annexed Cog Hill and Ludwood Farms into Palos Park, there's more than 1,000 acres of land out there that became part of Palos Park, and that's along Bell Road, and it sits on the border of our village. So in the future, as we develop business opportunities, I see it happening over there on the far west end of the village.
Okay.
Because there will be plenty of opportunity for it, and the impact won't be felt on the heart of the village, but we'll get the fiscal benefits of the development out there. So I
Is
think
there
it's important.
is there opportunity for residential and commercial in those areas?
Yes,
Or
yes,
there is?
definitely both. Definitely both. And, you know, those things are in the works with the people that own the property. There have been no plans brought to the village yet. It's still a little early. They're not quite to that point. But as those things happen, it'll go before our plan commission. And then people have an opportunity to see what the plans are for the future. What we do as the village council is to make sure our policies that are in place when it comes to development will keep a framework of what we want to see and not allow free reign for anybody who comes in and wants to develop.
Right. Because there's a finite amount of land, and you got to make sure you do what's right with it. So.
And you want it to look a certain way and feel a certain way and keep within the character of our village. And that is why we have certain restrictions and certain requirements, is to make sure we can maintain that while allowing some growth with residential and commercial.
Cool. Well, that's part of the future, right? And that was going to be my next question. So you got that west end of town for growth. Anything else on the horizon that you have some goals for in the future that people might want to know about?
We're bringing on another full-time police officer, which is a big deal because it is expensive. Full-time employment is expensive. And we've figured out how to budget to add another officer, which is fantastic. We have the best police department around, I feel. Our residents love how they know the officers by name. Our officers check on elderly residents that live alone to make sure that they're doing okay, as well as patrolling our streets and keeping everyone safe. It does take more than half of our budget in Palos Park to afford the excellent police department that we have.
Right.
So adding another full-time officer, I think, is huge. We are doing a code rewrite that'll be done by the end of the year, and that has to do with like the planning and zoning. So that's been in process since January, and it's a long process, but that will really help people who move into town and want to remodel their home before they move in. They'll be able to easily understand what they can and cannot do.
Right.
And won't make it so hard for the builders or the homeowners to understand. We also, working on some other spaces, developing spaces in the village with some more outdoor recreation or parks for resident enjoyment. And we're working with District 118 on one of them so that when we create it, we can create something that they will also take field trips to that will mesh with their curriculum.
Awesome.
So that we can have our students and our children from the community benefiting from things they can learn within the community, which is one of the things I did this past year. Was we hosted all the capstone students from 8th grade Palos South.
There you go.
And we had 100 kids that were participating in this program to the village because their project was to think of something to do for the community of Palos Park.
Right.
And so we answered their questions, everything from, can you put in sidewalks somewhere, or can we build a park, or what kind of events do you want to see? We really tried to give them real world answers so they could create real world solutions.
Yeah, I love
It
it.
was very fun.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is sitting here listening to you and interviewing you, you're not the cookie cutter typical mayor. You know, you're not the 80-year-old guy who's been behind the desk for 30 years. But on that note, change is good. And what I've been telling people, just because I'm doing lending in around Palos, is the demographic is changing, and it's changing rapidly. Throughout the Palos area, we're seeing a lot of young people moving in to Palos Heights and Palos Park that a lot of them did grow up like you and I in the Palos area. They want to come back. Some are brand new. And some of the driving reasons, which you and I know, are the schools, the recreation, the plush horse. No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
Right. The quality of life. And maybe I'll let you comment on that, you know, because you're in and around town all the time. And I heard that 118 is the population, or the capacity is up like when you and I went, when we were like the first big generation that went through the school system. And then it kind of started tapering off because we all became adults and our parents didn't have kids in the house anymore. But I heard that 118 is going through that same cycle again, and you're seeing a lot of young people moving into the area. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's always happening every 20 years. You know, the generation of people, you know, it turns over and you start seeing young people moving in. And what's been great is I'm meeting a lot of these people, and when I have an opportunity, I get them involved and get on one of the committees or a board so that they feel like part of the community, and hopefully teach, mentor, whatever the correct word is, to find the next generation of leaders for our community. I would say the reason we probably always see the 60 to 80-year-old men being the leaders in the communities tends to be with the older school mentality back maybe when we were kids and before, where maybe the mom didn't work, she raised the children, dad was out of the house working, came home. Well, he felt comfortable going out at night and going to meetings, and mom stayed home. Well, in the 60s and 70s, all that started to change, and women started to work more out of the house. And now it takes figuring out how to balance your work-life balance to allow this volunteer work into your life. To me, it was all about volunteering and being part of the community, which is what got me involved. And once I did it, I was hooked. And I just recently joined the Crisis Center Auxiliary Board. You'd think maybe I don't have any time to add another committee.
No, right.
But there are certain things that I've become passionate about that I just want to be involved. And, you know, as time allows, then I'll get more and more involved. I was blessed that when I created my business, it allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom, but it also allowed me to be able to volunteer like this. As an attorney working for myself, creating my own business, I controlled my timeline. And I had a great partner in my husband who said, no problem, I'll be home from work, I'll watch the kids, you go. And makes it possible for me when they were young to go to the meetings and go volunteer because he knows how much it meant to me. And it really fills my soul, makes me feel good when I'm giving back.
Yeah. Like I said at the beginning of the call, Palos Park's lucky to have you. So,
you're so sweet.
Yeah, but it's really cool though. You know, like I was just recently at your big celebration, the Village on the Green, the Autumn in the Park. I could not believe.
How did I miss you there? I didn't see you. I can't believe I didn't see you. Oh my gosh.
The amount of young people, it's like, it's amazing. And, you know, it's good for the economy. It's good for everything. And, you know, Palos is, you know, just exploding with excitement in young people. So it's kind of cool to see. And
Oh
it's
my
good
gosh.
for it's good for the businesses. It's good for all of us. So,
Absolutely. Like that tent was packed Saturday night, but like Saturday during the day and Friday night, so many kids playing on the
yeah,
playground and stuff. And I could remember when my kids were that age going out and being excited to go to in the park to hang with all their friends and just see the wholesome, kind of quaint, comfortable, safe village, people having fun, and parents being able to sit with their friends, not worried. They know their kids are safe sitting, playing with their friends. But it was great to see such a wonderful turnout. And believe me, those events would not happen but for our fantastic staff here at the village, because they are all the people working the Autumn in the Park Festival to make it happen.
Right. It was an amazing event. It was awesome. So hats off to you guys. I'm going to tell everybody who's watching, if you haven't been to Palos Park in a while, you need to. There's so much to see and do. Take a drive around the village, from out on the north end to Swallow Cliff to the Plush Horse. As Nicole said, out west, there's golf and the beautiful hills and wooded. It's probably my favorite town in all of Chicagoland. So it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's amazing. And I know it's pretty self-explanatory, but maybe you can give the website. If people want more information on Palos Park, they go to the village website, right? What is that website again?
PalosPark.org.
Yeah, and it's got
it's easy enough. Go right there. You can also go to my Facebook, Village of Palos Park, Office of the Mayor, and see videos and links to all different things that you're interested in. But as you said, we go all the way from Cog Hill, go hit some golf balls, drive into town, stop at Jewel, buy something, get a little bite to eat at the original Island Shrimp House or Francesca's, and then make your way to Plush Horse for dessert. And then don't forget to stop at Frangella to pick up your to-go for the next day.
You got it all covered.
Yeah, from one end to the other, and maybe hit some of those trails, because you might have to walk it off after eating all that stuff.
Yeah, you better, right? You better get a little exercise. So this has been an absolute joy. Nicole Milovich Walters, the mayor of Palos Park. I love saying that. She has her own Facebook page. You can find her there or find her on the village website. She's got a lot going on, but I'll tell you, she's great at communicating, and we'll get back to you if you have any questions or comments. But Palos Park is a gem. It's a wonderful town, and you're doing a great job. So
well,
that's about all I got.
Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for all you do with the Palos Area Chamber. They're lucky to have you. You're so passionate and so committed to really helping make sure our businesses succeed in our community, because without them, the community would be at a loss. So
I love it. I'm like you, like we said at the beginning, there's passion, and I want Palos to win, and I know you do. So, but
absolutely.
All right, this has kind of been around the town, and I want to thank everybody for watching. And Nicole, thank you for being our guest. And
thank you for having me.
Look forward to seeing you around town.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.